So pattern literacy. So to kick off pattern literacy, I want to talk about the way our minds work. Because a lot of people think that pattern literacy is this thing that we put on nature and then we're looking at nature and we're using it like this external thing. No. Pattern literacy is core to the way we learn. And in education, we have a different word for it. In learning psychology and childhood psychology, we have a different word for it. And it's long established, long accepted. It's schema. So what does this mean? All right, so when you're a baby, you're learning different schema. One of those schema is this grip and squeeze, right? And you're not sophisticated. You just and then you gotta let go, and it's like you're learning this schema. You're not doing one finger yet. You're just doing, and so we learn all these different schema and we build these skills, and then they start to condense into each other. And they start to package and create automaticity. And so, for instance, I was talking to James about playing the piano, and so it's like that triad, the 3-note chord, right? At first he had to think about stretching out each finger. Oh, that finger, this one always is, and he had to think about it. And then what happened was, instead of individuals, they became this one thing. And it became this unit of understanding rather than this individual. And the same thing happens when we're playing guitar, right? We see that there's this G scale right here, and we go octave to octave, right? Do, 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 do. But there's also one here. And you're like, oh yeah, look, I got 2. But the reality is the whole thing is covered with everything. It's a lattice work of scales that connect and dovetail into like an MC Escher of pattern. And my first book that I ever published, is Visual Music Theory for Guitarists, and it demonstrates this and it teaches to this. Because the reality is this is how we learn. We're going to be taking, patterns that they're in our head, and we're going to be continually scaling them up. And that's actually how we gain in intelligence, we gain in wisdom and understanding. We enlarge in our schema, which is really our understanding of the whole. So what happens as our schemas condense is we get a holistic understanding of that thing. So instead of the individual fingers, we get the holistic understanding of the triad. So this is really key. This is how all humans have always learned. This is not just pattern literacy is the way the mind works. Schema, the way we build patterns, and the way we scale up. So the way we teach people when they don't understand something, it's new information, we actually go through patterns and we try to match a piece of the new information to a piece of their information and show that it's similar or the same so that it leaps them into comprehension. And so it's called prior learning, right? And so we're trying to connect the new idea to the prior learning, and we do that through the different patterns that match up in their understanding. That's why it's so critical that we build education that goes in alignment. We talked about alignment in the prior video. So scaffolding is a pattern-based thing, and it's how we lift people up and how we improve and complicate and enlarge in their schema. And so it's not just about learning at the beginning stages either. Peak performance is all tied up into schema. And this is really important because our pattern literacy is the key to us operating at our best selves, at our highest operating capacities, at our smartest selves, our wisest selves. And so we want this, we need this. And so peak performance, what they figured out is that we are enlarging our schema, our understanding of the holistic reality using patterns. And so what does that mean? There's a great book called Peak. So there's this guy, and so he was learning, they were trying to see how far you can memorize numbers if you're given the number at 1 second intervals. So 192, 186, 5. 202, all those different things. And he got to 12 and 13, and he kind of stuck there, and then he really buckled down, and then he got up to 20. And then he was a runner, and then these things started changing in his head and started connecting to because he was trying so hard to start connecting to prior learning. So he started thinking of these numbers as running times. He started seeing these races and all these different people and times, and he started memorizing the times, or the numbers as times. And then he started being able to memorize 20, 40, 80. Imagine that. 80 random numbers read to you every 1 second, and you remembered them. Not only that, you remembered 80 of them. And this has actually been done again and again, and the number, they've gone even higher. There are people who are memorizing pi, not in the 1 second thing, but they're memorizing the number pi that goes on forever, and they've got like 10,000 of the numbers memorized. This is really powerful stuff. Humanity doesn't know how deep our memories and minds and schema can go. Our understanding is not mapped. The depth of the human mind is unknown. We don't know what our true peaks are. So if you want to access your peak, you're going to want to understand pattern literacy. You want to apply all this stuff to the greatest extent, because when you use patterns, you can enlarge in your understanding, because patterns can always scale up, condense into a greater pattern. It's chaos that is hard to hold on into our head. It's chaos that we all seek to try to make order out of and try to understand. And when we use the pattern literacy that we get through nature, it's the ultimate. Instead of like the rigid geometry of man-made world, we've got everything, all the different expressions of pattern. And that's what we're going to be talking about next. There is a path waiting for you in permaculture, a future that is regenerative career, permaculture, food forest, harvesting of rainwater, storage of abundance, helping everyone in your bioregion become more regenerative, becoming more resilient, bringing back the local economy, but this time aligning it to natural cycles so that we are continuously getting better and better. That's the Advanced Permaculture Student Online. And the new season starts soon, so I want you to be part of it. Click the link below. See what is possible with over 70 different experts and educators from around the globe. You could start a career. You could just transform your site and do an incredible homestead, but you could also start a business. This is permaculture. This is the regenerative future. Join us in the Advanced Permaculture Student Online. Click the link below. Let's go.